I'm sure you've heard the news. Spain woke to a nightmare on a day that began like any other. The sun rose over the tranquil Spanish towns, casting a warm glow that belied the chaos that was about to unfold. Torrential rains, the likes of which hadn't been seen in generations, lashed the Iberian Peninsula, transforming placid rivers into raging torrents. The skies darkened ominously, and the heavens opened up, unleashing a deluge that seemed almost biblical in its intensity. Homes were swallowed by rising floodwaters, bridges crumbled under the onslaught, and vehicles were swept away like toys in a bathtub. The sheer force of the water was both awe-inspiring and terrifying, leaving destruction in its wake. The deluge, relentless in its fury, left a trail of unimaginable destruction in its wake. Entire neighborhoods were submerged, and the landscape was irrevocably altered, bearing the scars of nature's wrath. As the waters receded, the true scale of the catastrophe began to unfold. The extent of the damage was staggering, with countless homes and businesses left in ruins, and the community struggling to come to terms with the enormity of the loss. The death toll climbed with horrifying speed, each number representing a life tragically cut short, a family shattered by grief. The community mourned together, united in their sorrow and their determination to rebuild. More than 150 souls were lost to the unforgiving floods, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in Spain's recent history. The scale of the tragedy was almost incomprehensible, leaving a nation in shock. The nation found itself grappling with the immensity of the tragedy, the sheer scale of loss almost too much to bear. Communities came together in solidarity, holding candlelight vigils and offering support to those who had lost everything. Images of the disaster, beamed around the world, painted a grim picture of devastation. The international community watched in horror as the full extent of the destruction became clear. Houses reduced to rubble, streets transformed into rivers of debris, and cars piled up like discarded toys bore testament to the raw power of nature's wrath. The scenes were almost surreal, a stark contrast to the peaceful towns that had existed just days before. The scenes of destruction served as a stark reminder of the capricious nature of the world we inhabit, a world where beauty and tranquility can be shattered in an instant. The juxtaposition of the serene landscapes and the devastation left behind was a poignant reminder of our vulnerability. In the blink of an eye, life as Spaniards knew it had changed irrevocably. Families were forced to evacuate, leaving behind their homes and possessions, their lives turned upside down by the relentless floodwaters. The catastrophic flood served as a chilling reminder of the fragility of human existence in the face of nature's unyielding might. The aerial views of the destruction highlighted the sheer power of the floodwaters and the helplessness of those caught in its path. As the nation struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the disaster, a profound sense of grief and disbelief settled over the land. The community came together to reflect on the tragedy, finding strength in their shared sorrow and their resolve to rebuild. As the scale of the disaster became apparent, a massive rescue operation swung into action. The community, local authorities, and international aid organizations quickly coordinated their efforts to respond to the crisis. First responders, displaying extraordinary courage and dedication, braved treacherous conditions to pull survivors from the wreckage. Their bravery was matched by their skill and training, which enabled them to navigate the dangerous environment effectively. Boats navigated flooded streets, helicopters plucked stranded residents from rooftops, and makeshift rafts were used to reach those in the most inaccessible areas. The coordination between air and ground units was crucial in maximizing the number of lives saved. Emergency workers waded through waist-deep water, their determination fueled by a desperate hope of finding survivors. They worked around the clock, often in shifts, to ensure that no stone was left unturned in their search and rescue missions. The Spanish military, a symbol of national unity in times of crisis, was deployed to assist in the rescue and relief efforts. Their presence provided not only manpower, but also essential resources and logistical support. Soldiers, trained for the most demanding situations, joined firefighters, police officers, and volunteers in a race against time. The collaboration between these diverse groups showcased the power of unity and collective action in the face of adversity. Every hour was critical, every saved life a testament to the tireless efforts of those on the front lines of the disaster. The emotional toll on the rescuers was immense, but their resolve never wavered. Yet, even as rescue workers toiled tirelessly, the threat was far from over. The continuous downpour made their task even more challenging, turning already hazardous conditions into a race against nature. The skies remained heavy with the ominous promise of more rain. Each drop that fell was a reminder of the potential for further disaster, adding to the urgency of the rescue operations. Meteorologists issued dire warnings of further downpours, raising the specter of renewed flooding and further devastation. Their forecasts were closely monitored by the rescue teams, who had to adapt their strategies accordingly. The relentless rain added a sense of urgency to the rescue operations, a constant reminder that time was of the essence. The teams worked tirelessly, knowing that any delay could mean the difference between life and death. The ongoing threat of further rainfall cast a pall over the rescue efforts. The rescuers had to remain vigilant, prepared to evacuate themselves if the situation worsened. The possibility of renewed flooding loomed large, a sword of Damocles hanging over the heads of those working tirelessly to save lives and alleviate suffering. The psychological strain on the rescuers was immense, but their commitment to their mission kept them going. The situation remained precarious, a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of the disaster. The resilience and determination of the rescue teams were a beacon of hope in these dark times, showing that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity's spirit can prevail. In the face of unimaginable tragedy, Spain's leaders offered words of solace and pledges of unwavering support. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, visibly shaken by the scale of the disaster, wasted no time in visiting the affected regions, his presence a source of comfort to those who had lost so much. "This is a national tragedy," declared Sánchez, his voice heavy with emotion. "The full force of the state will be deployed to help those affected by these devastating floods. We will not rest until every missing person is accounted for, and every family receives the support they need." His words, broadcast across the nation, offered a glimmer of hope in the darkest of hours. King Felipe VI, a figure of national unity and resilience, echoed the Prime Minister's sentiments, expressing his profound sorrow and pledging the unwavering support of the Spanish monarchy. His words, imbued with empathy and compassion, resonated deeply with a nation grappling with grief and loss. "Our hearts go out to all those who have lost loved ones, homes, and livelihoods in this catastrophe," the king stated in a televised address to the nation. "The resilience of the Spanish people will see us through this dark hour. We will rebuild our lives and our communities, stronger than ever before." Section 4. Through the Eyes of Survivors. Tales of Loss and Resilience. The true human cost of the disaster unfolded through the harrowing tales of those who lived through the terrifying ordeal. In the hardest-hit areas, like Valencia, survivors shared their stories, their voices trembling with a mix of fear, disbelief, and a profound sense of loss. "It happened so fast," recounted Maria Gonzalez, a resident of a small town near Valencia, her eyes welling up with tears. "One minute the river was calm, the next it was raging through our streets. We lost everything, our home, our belongings, our memories. I don't know how we'll ever recover from this." For many, the floods washed away more than just material possessions. They ripped apart the very fabric of their lives. Homes where families had gathered for generations were reduced to rubble, cherished memories swept away in the deluge. The emotional toll of the disaster, the invisible scars etched deep within the hearts of survivors, would linger long after the floodwaters receded. Yet, even amidst the devastation, stories of resilience and extraordinary human spirit shone through. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers risked their lives to save others, and communities came together to support those who had lost everything. The indomitable spirit of the Spanish people, their capacity for compassion and unity in the face of adversity, was a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. Section 5. The Changing Climate: Unraveling the Role of Global Warming. As Spain grappled with the aftermath of the catastrophic floods, the question on many minds was, could this be attributed to climate change? The devastation was widespread, affecting thousands of lives and causing significant damage to infrastructure. Scientists have long warned of the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events due to global warming, and the evidence is becoming harder to ignore. The data collected over the years shows a clear trend of rising temperatures and more volatile weather patterns. The recent floods seemed to tragically underscore this grim prediction. Families were forced to evacuate their homes, and entire communities were left in disarray. The link between climate change and extreme weather events like these floods is undeniable, as numerous studies have shown. The increased atmospheric moisture due to higher temperatures leads to more intense and frequent rainfall events, stated Dr. Elena Sanchez, a leading climatologist at the University of Madrid. She emphasized the importance of understanding these patterns to better prepare for future events. Warmer temperatures lead to increased evaporation, which contributes to the cycle of extreme weather. This process is a key factor in the changing climate dynamics we are witnessing today, which in turn results in heavier rainfall and a higher risk of flooding. The atmospheric conditions become more conducive to severe weather, creating a dangerous feedback loop. We are already seeing the consequences of our inaction on climate change, with infrastructure being tested to its limits and communities struggling to cope with the aftermath. And these events will only become more frequent and severe if we fail to act decisively. The global community must come together to implement effective measures to combat climate change. The flood served as a stark reminder of the urgent need to address the climate crisis. The cleanup efforts were monumental, but the emotional and financial toll on the affected families was even greater. The unprecedented rainfall, the sheer volume of water that inundated Spain's rivers and streets, pointed to a changing climate, one that is increasingly unpredictable and dangerous. A world grappling with the consequences of human activity. Industrial emissions and deforestation are major contributors to the greenhouse gases that drive global warming. While it is impossible to attribute any single weather event directly to climate change, the patterns we are seeing are consistent with scientific predictions about a warming planet. The increasing frequency and severity of such events are a clear indication of a planet in distress. The natural disasters we are witnessing are a call to action for humanity. The Spanish floods, a tragic wake-up call, underscored the need for immediate and sustained efforts to mitigate climate change, highlighted the urgent need for global action to mitigate the effects of climate change and avert future catastrophes. International cooperation and investment in renewable energy are crucial steps in this fight.